Szewczaks. It's me, Maja Szewczak, and welcome to another box makeover. Today, the Translucent Monday bead box is getting a makeover. I wanted to represent what Translucent Monday is a bit more. So I'm going to make water splashes, but no, not using real water. Making plastic water, like the water splashes out of plastic, because what is translucent? Water. And Nicholas Mellow on a boat. It's not realistic for water to do that, but this is art. Sometimes art can be like not that realistic. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're making that out of plastic and it will kind of look like water. But first, all the beads for the episode will have to be moved to a plastic bag until it's finished. Moved. Because I'm going to think about the next Translucent Monday in Mallorca. While during my flight there's nothing better to do. Just to save it for the flight, the thinking about it. But anyways, water? Hi. Will I make this work? You may ask. I'm going to use some of this fabric for the waves. Tried to make waves, but ended up making like a boat made out of water splashes. Oh wow, I cannot believe I'm trying to defy logic. Because can you do that with water? Splash water? No, but you could do an ice sculpture, but it's not cold enough in Northern Ireland to be doing ice sculptures. Not even during winter, it's not cold enough for ice sculptures. And for ice sculptures, not only you need enough ice, and it needs to be cold enough for the amount of ice you need, but put on a lot of winter clothing to keep yourself warm. If it is cold enough to be doing those ice sculptures. But it kind of looks like one. Even though it's not cold at all. I want the boat to look like a candy, but yet a water splash. So I'm just going to cut those pieces of this iridescent fabric and stitch it on. I've made this, and the splash of water looks like this right now. The splash of water boat. And I have cut the fabric like a bit of it, but I can still use the scraps, because if I cut that, it will look more like a splash of water, but yet reuse the scraps for the water splashes. The scraps of this iridescent fabric. So, just going to make those splashes look more like splashes, and this has to look like splash. Ta-da! I'm going to stitch it on with a strong needle, but first I'll pierce enough holes and then stitch it in. Since that is pierced, time to stitch it in. Stitching on plastic. I find it rewarding because it holds up better. However, it's not always easy. It can tend to be just so much like, easier say that you're going to do it than actually do it. But actually can depend on plastics used, because the plastic types tend to be different. Some are easier for me to stitch on it, some are harder. Depends on the plastic composition. I use this hard plastic is kind of hard to stitch with, so that's why I pierce it first. But it works anyways. Want to learn how to stitch on plastic? Well, make sure you have a strong needle, be strong enough to do it, and know what your plastic is like. Okay, so for these smaller scraps, I'm just going to glue it on, because they don't need to be stitched on in order to hold up to its shape. And I can get impatient tendencies with my projects at times. So, applied it here. Let's glue it on. These scraps of so-called water. So I'm applying them. I've got so far. So now I'm going to get more scraps and let this dry. Let's now make the water splash Nicholas Mellow out of a plastic bag. I'm going to stitch here to give him a neck. Now we have this. I will cut these to make the head shaped like a human head. These corners off. And if I get that excess plastic, I can still use it for the translucency aspect of the water, because the more watery looking it is, the better. Now I'll add beads that are translucent clear for the eyes and for the nose. I will use clear ones. However, the mouth, I'll figure out if I will put the mouth in or not. I've used clear translucent beads for the eyes and white thread for the mouth. It still looks translucent even though it's not. Okay, now he needs body adjustments because it needs to look like a human-like doll, but also still look like a body of water. And I'll have to get the thinnest, the least noticeable wire for the posability part of it. And I have this silver wire. Will be very little noticeable and very little visible in all that plastic, and it's very thin using it. Okay, plastic bag person done, and that's what he looks like. However, it can be a bit of a challenge to style it into Nicholas Mellow without color, because that will be water without any color. But first, I'll have to check. The color is blue, but so light it's translucent. And he fits on the boat. Okay, let's use that fabric to make him some translucent clothing for translucent body, and also for the translucent hair that will look like it's made out of water splashes, but a frozen moment, because when you make a splash, it splashes, then the water bodies come together and you get the idea of a frozen moment splashing. Okay, for the clothing, I've used that watery fabric. It frays easily and everything is looking like a translucent body of water. So that's why it's not going to be removable with the shirt and shorts. Now I'm going to do his hair. But for the details of the outfit, I'm just going to use the clear beads to add the details into it. Water Nicholas Mellow's hair done, and the scraps have been glued on like water, and everything looks like a water splash. Very good. We don't need any red thread in that, because everything has to look like water. I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to attach this Nicholas Mellow to the boat, the water splash boat. What a useless sentence. Base had a sticker which I have just scratched off and then painted on a mixture of glitter glue and acrylic glue onto it, and that's how it looks. Want to keep the translucent watery theme, but yet put some of this on Nicholas Mellow, the watery one. Now that needs to dry before I can fill this again. All dried and filled with beads. And that's how the water splash Nicholas Mellow on a boat looks like. So Szewczak, what do you think of this? Please tell me in the comments, and bye Szewczak. See you in another video. Bye.